chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Noise. Noise. Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. We are ready to go. And without further ado, we need to get this show rolling. We got a lot of content to get to you. I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callan, a.k.a. Matty C, a.k.a. Callie, etc., etc., etc. So, without further ado, from Ward... on, Shield.
Dude, it has been a heck of a Wednesday. This afternoon has been awesome, to say the least. I've gotten my nap in this afternoon. I am refreshed. I'm ready to go. It's going to be an awesome show tonight.
It is, because we have a lot of surprises.
We do.
If you've been following the socials medias, you know what I'm talking about. Our zoners know what we're talking about. A lot of things. But we're going to save it. We're going to save it because, that stuff you got to check out because we got some cool things ready to go. And I teased
Absolutely.
This, right. And I teased this earlier today. The North remembers Jimmy Butler drama.
Oh, yeah.
We're ramping this up. We are ramping this up. I can't wait to get to it. But we got to do something first, Voldy, because it's one of the zoners' favorite segments, our favorite segment, the Kerf Doctor as well, his favorite segment. Tater Tot. Hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, Voldy. Tater Tot Hot Take. Fresh out of the oven. We're ready to go. And we're doing something a little different tonight. Okay?
No, we are.
We've been talking a lot about the Vikings during Tater Tot Hot Take because, well, that's the only thing going during this quarantine, which, Again, the draft is over. We've talked about what we need to talk about with the Vikings, with the draft. This is called Tater Tot Hot Take Catch-Up. Get it? Catch-up? Yeah, catch-up.
I got it. That's good. Yeah. That's clever. I like it.
Okay. I mean, it's just great. So basically, we're catching up to see what other sports teams, what they got going on. We're going to get to every team. Okay, so we're going to start with the Wolves, and then we'll get to the Twins, Wild, and Minnesota United. And this is what I got. So we got 4 teams. We're going to get through them. And then we got Will Lachelle. Can't watch it live tonight, but I will watch tomorrow.
All right.
I'll be
Valid
talking
excuse.
to you soon. We'll be talking to you soon there, Will. So, anyway, without further ado, I know, Voldy, basketball is not your thing. I understand that. But I think you will enjoy this because we talked about this a lot before this pandemic hit.
Right.
Garrison Rosas for the Timberwolves has been completely changing the culture here in Minnesota. And I was reading an article not too long ago, and they were looking at how well he's done so far. So, Voldy, I'm going to start with you. What do you think of Garrison Rosas so far?
It's been a year since Rosas came into the fold with the Timberwolves, and honestly, I don't have a lot of bad things to say. Usually it's one of those where, even into a year with a new franchise or trying to see what the big move has been or what has happened with this team win and loss wise. And you can't really say a whole lot of negative things just because of the fact, A, there's been an extremely small sample size, and B, there hasn't been a whole lot of turnover, a whole lot of change. Obviously, the big piece bringing in D'Angelo Russell and that small sample size the Timberwolves have had with D'Lo since he's come in. I mean, honestly, I like what he's done so far. He came from, I believe it was from San Antonio, I think, or somewhere where a team that had a lot of success in starting from the ground floor and working their way back up, not only into playoff contention, but being a title caliber, franchise. And so far, I don't have a whole lot of complaints, and I definitely am looking forward to what Rosas has going into the future.
Right. And the big thing is that he went and got D'Angelo Russell.
Yes.
He had to clean house in a way, but they only kept Cat, Okogie, Wiggins.
Yeah.
Gone. Gorgie. Gone. I mean, it's crazy how many guys were let go, but it was worth it because this was from the Tibbs regime. Okay. And they're trying to move on from that. And we're going to get to that later. But it's something that the Wolves needed to, start over. They need to start over. Because you have Cat, and now you have D'Lo, and then you have Okogie. This is a young team. Okay? And hopefully there's no drama, hint, going on here in the future. But if I were to grade what Rosas has done so far, Voldy, I'd probably give him a solid A-. And this is a guy that came from the Houston Rockets.
Houston, that's what it was. I knew it was a Texas team.
Yeah. So he came from Houston, and, I mean, look at Houston. James Harden, they've had success. Obviously, they haven't gone to, they haven't gone to the finals, have won the finals or anything like that.
Right.
But he got quality players in his time there. And he wanted D'Lo from the beginning, and they weren't able to get him. Golden State grabs him, and it's like, really? Why is Golden State even grabbing D'Angelo Russell here at this point? And so they missed out on D'Angelo at that point, but then Rosas found a way to get his guy. So now, D'Lo's here. Easy says slow clap for the catch-up joke. Yeah, well,
it works.
Guys, it works, okay? I mean, I'm not trying to be a comedian. I'm just trying to have some fun, man. Come on. But no, anyway, appreciate that. Easy. But yeah, I agree. I'd give him a solid A-. So, Voldy, what do you think? What grade would you give Rosas here?
An A- I think is a very solid grade, but I'd go maybe even the lengths of a B+. It's not too far off from the A-. We're dealing with a teacher that doesn't want to round up to the next decimal that will get you to that next grade point and the next letter grade. But I would definitely give it a solid, B+, especially what you had mentioned about the turnover on roster. Know what the pieces are crucial for the franchise. Okogie, Karl Anthony Towns, and, you build around those guys. And you get rid of the dead weight, and then you bring in D'Angelo Russell. It's been a solid start in his, in his regime in 1 year. It's only been 1 year. To truly get a true test and true merit, it's going to take 2 or 3 years. That's what a lot of fans don't understand when it comes to either coaching or at the executive level as well. 1 year is great. People expect it to happen right away. Something like this is going to take a couple of seasons, 2, 3 at the very minimum. And it's going to see a lot of turnaround. And, if teams really perform well half a season or 2 seasons down the road, that's fantastic. Something great happened. But honestly, it's going to take a couple of years before we even start seeing any real results from what Rosas has, developed with this team and the Timberwolves.
Right. And you got to get down the chemistry too. Like
exactly.
You were saying, and I mean, that's the big thing. And we'll see what happens. I mean, after this whole pandemic kind of dissipates here, let's see what happens. Okay. But Court was saying, talking about how D'Lo got to Brooklyn from LA, and then, KD, and then all that fun stuff. So, I mean, it was a free agency frenzy. I mean, D'Lo was traded to the Nets, and then obviously he was a free agent, and then Golden State nabbed him from us. So
that they did.
That's how the cookie crumbles. So anyway, let's move on to the Minnesota Twins. Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today. So, ex-Twin, Trevor Plouffe.
Trade him.
Yeah. Okay. Now, get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
So, Voldy, Trevor Plouffe says he's got some sources now. Okay. He tweeted this. Want some good baseball news? I just heard from multiple sources. Maybe it was Adam Schefter here. No, anyway. That on June 10th, spring training 2 will start. July 1st will be opening day, and all teams will be playing at their home ballparks. Your thoughts?
So that's what, about a month away from spring training, less than 2 months from the start of the regular season. I could see it happen. Oh. I could honestly see it happening. It was at this point, probably about a month ago, we're saying, okay, spring training is going to start in May, and then the opening day is going to be June 1st. And well, here we are at right now. Things are slowly starting to get a little bit better, at least from a distance. But I don't know. I could see it happening. I would be a big fan if it did happen. But honestly, it's going to be a lot to go through in the next, 3 weeks at most, at minimum, for even players to get comfortable, let alone start playing, spring training baseball again.
Right. And it's kind of weird that how does he know this? That's my question. It's like, who are your sources, man? All right. Obviously, you can't reveal your sources. We understand.
Right.
But at the same time, too, I think Tyler, I kind of agree a little bit with Tyler here, saying that he's just trying to be relevant again.
Probably.
He's just trying to. But the thing is, if Trevor Plouffe is wrong, he is in deep doo-doo, man. I mean, this guy, the Twitterverse will tear him apart. Absolutely. I mean, this guy won't be able to tweet anything again. So, what's going to happen here? He better be right on his prediction here. And we got Phil Hughes here, Voldy. He goes, okay, I've talked with multiple sources, can confirm a June 10th spring training 2 with the July first opening day proposal is expected to be on the table soon. Trevor Plouffe had it first. I had it second. Someone else had it third. Oh, something important. Better call Trevor Plouffe. Stamp approval with that. We're not even
Love
on
it.
ARA right now. But, I like that, Tyler. That's good. Do we even trust Plouffe and Hughes at the same time? I mean, this is crazy. 2 former Twins. I mean, I don't know what to say here, Voldy. I really don't. But
I don't know either. It's a couple of guys who are very active on the socials media since their Major League Baseball careers floundered off, to say the least. And then you get this going. It could be a combination. Either A, they've got a foot in the door of some higher ups that may have heard something from somebody who is making the decisions at the top. Or it could be just one of those where they're just trying to make something happen for themselves to at least kind of lighten up the crowd. I would like to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah. If we could get Trevor Plouffe or Phil Hughes to cite their sources and reveal them, that would be really entertaining. That would be a zone first right here.
Well, they're welcome anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime. Especially any athlete coming on here. So, but yeah, hopefully it happens. I would like to see it happen. I want to see some sports happening around these parts as well. All right.
Absolutely.
So we're going to move on to our next team, the Minnesota Wild, Voldy.
Yeah.
This story I found very interesting, Voldy. Mikko Koivu, long-time Minnesota Wild player, and he he's been with the Wild, was it 15 years or something like that? And he's in the final year of his contract. And, you know, people were wondering, like, what's going to happen with Mikko Koivu? Is he going to retire? Is he going to, you know, move on to another team? I mean, this is going to be something that we're going to keep a close eye on. But I'm going to read something here, Voldy, that Koivu said. KSTP interviewed him. He said, "I've always said to me or anybody, you have to enjoy the game, and I still do," he said. "But also physically, you have to be at a level you want to be. Mentally, that's the biggest part of it. You've got to be ready to do it. So every single question that you can think of or you have to go through that, that's the best thing for you to do. And then, sure, my decision will come. You'll start to get the feeling, but I don't think the time is right now." So, again, up in the air. Voldy, do you think Mikko Koivu is done?
I could see it happening. Yes, I think he's done. He's hit the 1,000 game mark. He's played every single game for the Minnesota Wild. You know, it would have been nice to get the full season out of Mikko Koivu so that way he could have rode off into the sunset or skated off into the sunset. But this could be one of these very interesting situations because the similar kind of thing happened with Teemu Selanne back in, I think it was 04-05 when they had the lockout year from the NHL, which allowed Teemu Selanne to come back another year, win a Stanley Cup. He ended up playing another 2-3 years after that, and he said, he quoted directly that the lockout is what kept my hockey career going. An entire year without hockey is like 5 years in real life of just taking no abuse, no punishment, no extra skating days, because one of the hardest sports in the world, if not the hardest, is hockey, and it just wears down every single person. It's very interesting to see guys last as long as like Mikko Koivu, who played 10, 15, even, guys who played almost 20 years in the NHL and have, put together really good careers. I think for Koivu, I think it's time to hang him up. But, with this interesting situation concerning the pandemic and shutting down the hockey season, at mid-March could be, just what Koivu needed to get his legs back under him again. But I think it's time. I think it's time for him to, look into other ventures and maybe, maybe time to hang him up.
Your dad agrees with you too. Jimbo does.
Yeah.
So, and I'm inclined to as well, because what left does he have to prove?
Right. Exactly.
An all-time great for the Minnesota Wild. I mean, absolutely. I mean, his number could possibly be retired. I don't know. But
if it isn't, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. And he has done so much for Minnesota, so much for the Minnesota Wild and the community as well. Only thing that he doesn't have is a Stanley Cup. And again,
exactly.
They had their opportunities, but sometimes, not a lot of players get that chance. And unfortunately for Mikko Koivu, he worked his tail off for the Minnesota Wild. He still does. Do I think he's got a little in the tank left? Maybe. But, again, I think Guerin is going to say, well, sorry, Mikko.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to move on here because we got to get younger. And they do. And they have been.
Yeah, exactly.
But again,
Bill Guerin was in a very similar situation at the tail end of his career. I think he was with Pittsburgh when his career ended, and it just so happened they won a Stanley Cup in, I think it was 06, 07, when they went back to back with Detroit, and
sure.
Obviously, he capped off his career with a Stanley Cup. He won a couple in his career, and, you would have liked to see a guy like Mikko Koivu be the guy to, of course, he's the captain, so he'd get the honor of hoisting the Stanley Cup first with the Minnesota Wild, and unfortunately, that most likely is not going to happen.
Right, and we'll kind of see where it goes, but if he does retire, I mean, collapse all around for Mikko. Do you think Mikko would accept a lesser role? I think he kind of has, in a way, if I'm not mistaken, Goldie. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean a lesser role is in seeing less ice time,
Yeah.
less game time. I think he's at that point of his career even right now. I mean, he's still near, obviously he's still going to be trying to produce, but obviously it's not going to be the same caliber as it was 5-6 years ago when the Wild were just scraping for,
Yeah.
goals and, points out of him. But I mean, even a lesser role than it is right now, I think he could, but at the same time, if he doesn't hang him up this summer, if and when the NHL season does announce that
Return,
it's
yeah.
done for the year, which I think by now you would think they would have made a decision, would certainly be the point of saying, all right, I think I'm good.
Right. I 100% agree, Voldy. All right, next one, our last one here, Voldy. Minnesota United. I mean, this one, there hasn't been much going on with them, but we got to appreciate the fact that they donated $75,000 to the neighborhood fund around Allianz Field. And if you know, I'm around that area too, St. Paul. And I mean, this is fantastic. This is a very feel-good opportunity here for everyone. And, Minnesota United is definitely, taking the right step and giving this donation. And I mean, all the other professional teams have done it too, but especially around that area because I've been around there too, and having them donate that much money, I mean, does wonders. So, Voldy, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think this is, what a lot of teams are doing, and especially the fact that making such a large donation where, a lot of these franchises are going to be taking financial hits this year. It's just a fact of life and, how things have ended up being something more than just the sport itself and being a part of community, especially in the area with Allianz Field in that neighborhood and, trying to build that connection within the community itself is something that it should be shared with all sports franchises, where a lot of them would just be we're about ourselves here and we're just trying to do what's best for us. But given the circumstances that are right now with not only just in our portion of the world but also the world itself, speaks to the fact that this is something bigger than just sports itself.
Right. And again, like you said, all the teams are doing it, and them giving that donation definitely, helps out, especially with everything going on right now. So it's a nice feel-good tater tot hot take. So shouts out to Minnesota United for doing that. So claps
Definitely.
all around. Claps all around. So anyway, Voldy, it's time to get to a segment that we need to take care of, okay? This is the North Remembers, okay? We're going to talk about it first, but you got to check out the intro before we get to it.
Gotta.
These are the moments enshrined in Minnesota sports history. The North remembers.
Okay, so this pertains to the saga of the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the one Jimmy Butler, almost public enemy number one here in Minnesota sports lore. I don't know, Voldy, do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
The floor is yours, sir.
The floor is mine. Okay, so I'm going to get serious here because I did a lot of research on this, Voldy. Okay, and to our zoners and as the Wolves fans, the reason why this came up, guys, is I saw this interview with Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird. They were interviewing Jimmy Butler. Okay, and they asked him a true or false question about that practice. Okay. And we all know what that practice is, okay, especially Wolves fans. And they asked him that D-Rose said that he only scored 1 bucket in that practice in that scrimmage. And Jimmy paused and said, true. Okay? That got me thinking, because I think this is something that needs to be addressed, and I've been waiting to talk about this for a while, because this was a snafu that biggest snafu I've ever seen, honestly, with Jimmy Butler just pretty much calling out the Wolves, things like that, okay? So, let's start out with after the season with the Timberwolves. They lose to the Rockets in the playoffs. I mean, again, they were an 8th seed. Jimmy was hurt. He came back in the regular season for a little bit, and then they made the playoffs, okay? Now, after the season, little did we know at the time, okay, that Jimmy Butler didn't go on the team plane with the rest of the team, okay? We didn't know that at that time. So, obviously, there's something wrong, right? And, apparently, according to Jimmy Drama, he said that he was in talks with Tibbs about an extension, because Tibbs, again, was the president, and not the president, but he was the basketball operations president, okay, like a GM. And he said that, they're going to work on getting him an extension. Great. All the Wolves fans love Jimmy Butler, right? Little did we know what was going on behind the scenes, okay? So I'm going to bring this up now. The Wolves offered Jimmy a 4-year extension, $110 million, okay? That's a lot of money. You got to be crazy not to take that extension, right? Apparently for Jimmy, that was a little too much. Or it wasn't enough, excuse me. The Wolves not only, offered that, which I still don't understand why you wouldn't take that. They obviously want you, right? So what's going on here? So then, the Wolves aren't so innocent in this too, okay? The Wolves handled it so poorly that caused the rift, during the summer and then into the season, a couple weeks before training camp, right? So, obviously, we hear reports that Jimmy wants to be traded, things like that, and we all know Jimmy, right? Jimmy's kind of like the guy, poke fun, say things and everything like that, okay? The infamous practice was staged. He planned this. Okay? He already planned this interview with Rachel Nichols before from ESPN. He was planning this the whole time, okay? Because he knew he wasn't happy with the Wolves, okay? And then you have Wiggins' brother tweeting at him saying hallelujah about, saying, they want to get rid of Butler and everything. Obviously, there's something wrong here, folks. And Jimmy goes into this saying, you effing need me, you did this, and he's saying, and then all these reports are coming out that he took himself and then third stringers and beat like Cat and Wiggs and everything like that, okay? And I rewatched that interview, and Jimmy, he's saying all the right things. Well, I just want to be appreciated. They offered you an extension. 4 years, $110 million. Where is the disconnect here, right? But this guy has, the audacity to say, hey, I just want to be appreciated. Really? So you're not being appreciated because the Wolves offered you an extension. So where am I missing this here, okay? And then he goes to say, you know, I'm a great leader, I'm a great teammate. Absurd statement. 1,000% absurd statement. Okay? Now, again, the Wolves organization has had their faults. And again, I don't look at Glenn Taylor and say, oh, you did there. Glenn Taylor didn't handle this right. Okay? He could have handled it so much better, but he made it worse. Okay? You know, have him come to practice and he makes a mockery of you. And then all of a sudden, all these reports surface and ESPN's on this, and now it's all over the news. Sports news, I should say. Probably, maybe even mainstream news, too. Okay? Jimmy Butler's unhappy, blah, blah, blah. He called his teammates out. Okay, this is where it really gets me now. Okay? Wiggins and Towns. Apparently, he didn't get along with those guys. Okay? Wiggins, you know, you question his worth ethic. I mean, is he going to show up? Is he going to be awful? Things like that. But when the trade was done, Jimmy talks with none other than KG on Area 50 or Area 21, excuse me. And he says, like, KG's like, are you cool with, you know, Carl and Wiggins? Yeah, I'm cool with Kid. I'm cool with Wiggins. No, you weren't. You were not at all. This guy, I'm telling you guys right now, this guy is a snake. He is an absolute snake, okay? He had all the Timberwolves fans, and probably some of the zoners here too, believing that this guy could help out this team. And after one season, this guy comes out and stomps on the heart of the Timberwolves and its fans. The franchise is completely almost obliterated by this, okay? And Tibbs didn't handle this well. It was just, I mean, it was a crap show with no intermission, okay? And that damn Jimmy Butler, I mean, this guy is a snake. And he comes out and he says, well, I wanted this, you know, I wanted this, I wanted that. And then as Metz is saying right here, Jimmy wanted the max that they gave to Wiggins. Okay? They probably offered him that, but he declined. But this guy, this is so bogus. And he, you know, in his interview, he's talking with, you know, I'm going back here with Rachel Nichols. He said indirectly, no one had a winning on the team, like winning on their mind. You are in the NBA. Of course winning's on your mind. You're not going to go in and say, oh, we're going to go in and lose. Obviously, you didn't get along with Cat or Wiggins. We understand that, okay? But they look to you as the leader. And what do? You say, oh, I kind of want to get paid. I want to be appreciated. You were appreciated, Jimmy. And that's why you have completely, you know, been public enemy number one for Wolves fans. Okay? And I'm going to say this right now. Jimmy Butler, if he is, people will say he's a good leader, absolutely absurd. He is not a good leader. I mean, the Wolves, he only stayed one season. Oh, I didn't get what I want. Stop it. He went to the Sixers, and they went to, you know, they made a deep run in the playoffs, lose to Kawhi. And what does he do? He goes to another team. He goes to the Heat, and then he's like, oh, everything's fine and dandy. All his friends are, you know, all his teammates are saying he's a great teammate. Oh, that is so bogus. He's playing you guys like a fiddle, okay? He might be gone after a year, 2 years here. Jimmy Butler is a snake, okay? He is a snake. And I'm so glad he's out of Minnesota. And this has been a stake in the heart. You know, I mean, Jimmy Butler is a guy that is a snake. You can never trust him. Never listen to anything he says because it's all almost a lie with this guy. Unbelievable. So, anyway, I think, you know, this whole thing has gotten to a point where it's like this needed to be said. Jimmy Butler made a mockery of the Timberwolves, Voldy. And it's not something that they're not proud of. But the Wolves organization really flubbed it even more by, letting this go on and not getting rid of him. There you go.
Wow.
That's the spiel.
Wow. Yeah. That was a lot. You covered a lot there.
It was
to say that one person made a mockery of the Timberwolves is saying something.
Yeah.
Because, well, it's the Timberwolves.
Well,
they've had a lot of bonehead moves in the last, we'll say the last decade plus at this point now. And you look at the whole situation from beginning to end, and it just makes you wonder, what kind of flippin' sociopath did the Timberwolves trade for in getting Jimmy Butler?
Right.
Who the heck stages something like that at a practice and then staging it, then talking about it with the media, basically forcing the hand of the Timberwolves to say, okay, we need to get this guy out of here. He is off his rocker. Goes to Philadelphia, kind of keeps his nose out of the tabloids or whatever, and now is kind of reverting back around a couple years after the fact. I mean, this happened 3 years ago, but this feels like it just happened yesterday. That's how recent it's insane. The fact that we gave up what we did for a guy that, was a glorified rental piece and didn't even give us anything to enjoy.
Right.
Just nothing but more headaches. And that's what Minnesota sports fans need, is more headaches.
I mean, really.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And Tyler saying, give us back Levine. And honestly,
please.
I don't know if that would have made a huge change, but I think, looking back on it, maybe they should have just given the Bulls Wiggs, because Levine's actually starting to develop here with the Bulls. So there's that to consider.
Right.
But, again, going back to the snake here, okay, obviously he is on the infamous top 10 list because he deserves to be on this, okay? You cannot believe anything this guy says. And, all the media is like hyping him up to be this guy. This guy's not LeBron James. This guy's not Kobe Bryant. This guy's not Michael Jordan. He still has to earn. He thinks he's already earned respect. It's like, yeah, you're an all-star. Yeah, you've had this. But have you won rings? 0. You say you work hard and everything like that. I'm sure you do, Jimmy. I really believe that you work hard and you do everything you can. But I'll tell you one thing. You are not any of those guys. You're not MJ. You're not Kobe. You're not LeBron. Okay? You are far from that. Okay? Now, it was a perfect fit with the Sixers, Voldy, because Embiid is a weird dude, too.
Very true.
I mean, it kind of made sense. But then he had issues with the Sixers. I mean, this guy is off his rocker, like you said. I mean, I can't believe how bad this got, And remember, I kind of compared a little bit to the Diggs thing, but Diggs wasn't like, I'm going to go out to practice and call everybody out. He's just like, he could have handled that better. But Jimmy, by far, was the worst I've ever seen. This was the biggest snafu I've ever seen. And I feel bad for Wolves fans, including myself being a Wolves fan, the zoners that had to deal with that at that time. I wish to forget this, And obviously, we understand it's the Wolves. They haven't had much success. But Jimmy Butler gave us hope at the beginning. And guess what he does? Takes the heart of the Wolves, throws it on the ground, and he stomps on it. That's it. Yeah. So, zoners, I want you guys to chime in. What do you think about this, if you're tuning in now or if you're tuning in later? But, yeah. That is our spiel on Jimmy Buckets, a.k.a. Jimmy Drama. We're going to call him here on MinneZona Sports Live. You are public enemy. He's probably in our top 5 in a way. So if he ever came back to Minnesota, boo the hell out of that guy.
Absolutely.
So you have to. So anyway, Voldy, we got to move on to our favorite segment. Okay? It's called Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
Oh, Jimbo. T-Wolves, who cares? I mean,
Exactly.
I care, but again, it's kind of like at a point where it's like, gosh. All right, Voldy, let's talk about something a little different here. Why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
All right. Well, American sports is going to have to hold on for just a little bit longer, but we've got something to watch finally on ESPN that isn't classic games. The networks of ESPN reached an agreement to televise South Korea's Korea Baseball Organization that started with opening day yesterday. ESPN is going to be the exclusive KBO English language home as part of an agreement with the media group that does broadcast the likes of the KBO, and that will televise 6 regular season games per week. So 6 out of 7 days, you're going to get baseball, not just any baseball, but Korean baseball, and it is fantastic to watch. Absurd or Approved, the big move by the big network.
Oh, stamp of approval.
Absolutely.
We need something, Voldy. We need something
Absolutely.
to hang our hat on. We need to, South Korean baseball, let's go, man. What was that team, LG Twins or something like that?
Yeah, the LG Twins, yep.
That's my team.
There it is.
I've already got my team ready to go. So, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. I think this is something that the sports fans need. And, again, I don't think there's any fans, in the stadium, right? They have, I don't want to say, fake fans, but, they have, cardboard cutouts of,
Yeah, they have
fans.
the cutouts, and then they have, robot fans, too, I think, or whatever.
Yeah. That is pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. But you've got some former MLB players playing in there too. So, you'll know some guys. But, this is something, like I said, that we need during this time. We need some sports back. And, we talked about hopefully baseball getting back here soon too. We'll see. Fingers crossed that happens.
Hoping so.
But yeah, it's got my stamp of approval, Voldy. I think all the zoners would agree with that as well. And you too, right?
Absolutely. When you throw in teams like the LG Twins, the Samsung Lions, the NC Dinos, the Doosan Bears, the Kia Tigers, what's not to be excited about? You got some former MLB players. Byung-ho Park is still out there doing his thing. You got Michael Rushinsky, who is also a former Twin, and you've just got fantastic pitching. You've got bat flips for years, not even days, and just quality baseball, to say the least. Sure, there's not going to be any fans, but the baseball product that they put over there does not disappoint. If you haven't seen anything talking about the KBO, just look them up on YouTube and you'll just see fantastic bat flips to satisfy any need whatsoever for a baseball fan.
I'm going to keep checking it out. It's going to be pretty awesome. But they have their games at 1 a.m. or something, right?
Yeah, that's the one downside, and a lot of them are going to be at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then they do rebroadcast them in the afternoons as well, at 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you can stay up late, and if you're an essential employee like ourselves, we don't have the luxury of staying up that late to watch. But there's a chance in the afternoons you'll be able to watch. So
yeah, maybe they want we could send them our MinneZona shirts, Voldy.
There you go.
We'll see.
Get a little cross promotion going on. Fantastic.
Exactly.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Speaking of that, might be coming here soon, but we'll talk more about that later. So next one, Voldy.
Yes, friend of the brand, friend of the zone, Marshawn Lynch has reported that he and his agent have been in discussions with a possible reunion with the Seattle Seahawks on a potential return to the Emerald City. He was quoted as saying on Monday, well, it's almost on that expect the unexpected. But just as far as right now, what I know is I'm going to keep it solid. My agent, Doug Hendrickson, has been in talks with Seattle. So like I said, we'll see what happens. Absurdo approved. Return to beast mode in Seattle.
Well, I'm just here so I don't go get fined. No. Yeah, I like it. Stamp of approval. Because I know you have Chris Carson, but beast mode in Seattle makes so much sense.
It does.
It just does. I mean, he's a character, man, and that's why I love beast mode so much. He works his tail off. He really does. And you look at, kind of his media thing with, just kind of saying, I'm thankful, things like that. But, you gotta love that. It's like, he's just toying with people. It's fun. I love Beast Mode, man, and the Skittles and everything like that. It just makes sense. And, he wanted to go to Oakland, and he did that. I mean, it didn't work like he thought, but,
no, it definitely did.
Court said approved. If this is the last year, just a retired Seahawk, can go buy a Skittles company.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he was on Westworld too, HBO show as well. I mean, this Beast Mode is doing it all, and
he was just on Bar Rescue a couple weeks ago for one of his places that he owns.
See,
he's got options.
He's got a lot of options, but I think he wants to play again. And you know what? Bring him back, Seattle. Bring him
Absolutely.
Back. What do you think, Voldy?
Run it back one more time. Run it back.
Yes, sir.
I like it. As Beast Mode once said, I'm thankful.
Yeah.
And I think this is great. Yeah. If this could be the last year and he could just go off one more time. I mean, he's been staying in pretty good shape. It's not like he's just hanging out and doing nothing. I mean, he is, keeping in good shape, and, football shape is a whole different thing. And I mean, Seattle's been banged up at the running back spot the last year and a half. They've got like 5 guys, and 3 of them are coming off season-ending injuries from last year, and a couple of them are unproven. But you get that veteran presence in the backfield. I mean, he can still punish, even at the end of last year. I mean, he had Week 17 and then 2 postseason games. He had 4 rushing touchdowns. Sure, he only had 70 yards rushing in total, but I mean, when you get his big presence down the goal line, he's gonna hurt somebody. He's gonna be laying the wood on some on some linebackers. I'd like to see it just one more time with Beast Mode.
Let him get his chicken, as he said at
yes,
his
sir.
last play. Well, Nick says it's not like Seattle has a workhorse running back anyhow, but he got to factor in. I mean, Chris Carson's gotten hurt. Rashad Penny's gotten hurt a lot too. So I mean, Seattle, the fact that they're talking with them, I don't think they trust those guys right now. So I think if they bring back Beast Mode, I mean, they'll either have to trade one of them or trade both of them or let go of both of them. I don't know. But I'd like to see Beast Mode back with Seattle. More Skittles, more fun, more Beast Mode. Let's do it.
I mean, before Marshawn Lynch, Seattle hadn't had a workhorse running backs in probably Sean Alexander?
Yeah.
And that was 10 years before he joined that, which seems like a lifetime ago that Sean Alexander was punishing, defensive players.
And remember, Marshawn came from the Bills, too.
Yeah.
He got traded to Seattle, and then, it all worked out. So, I mean, bring him back. That's how I say it. So
2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl championship, endless amounts of,
You should have 2, though, right?
should have 2, but, that's just not how it happens when you throw the ball at the goal line.
That's true. Darrell Bevel, come on, man. So,
attaboy, Darrell.
Next one, Voldy.
Yes, well, sticking with the NFL theme, it was announced that on Monday, the NFL has called off its annual International Series games in London and in Mexico City Amid the coronavirus pandemic, the league made the decision to play all games in the United States in order for the entire NFL season to be played with the NFL teams' stadium under consistent protocols focused on the well-being of players, personnel, and fans. Now, this kind of throws a feather in the cap of a few teams that do kind of pride themselves on playing overseas. Jacksonville's a team that plays a lot of games in London. Oakland's been a team that played, overseas in Mexico City. San Diego over the last couple of years as well. Now the Los Angeles Chargers, formerly the San Diego Chargers. Absurd to approve, the NFL putting the kibosh on the international games for 2020.
Well, stamp of approval. Because these international games, not very good. You've had maybe one or two, but I mean, this is. I feel like the Jags are always over there. I don't know why, but it's just I'm getting sick of it because I'm sick of it. So, as Coach Hines likes to say, but I mean, it's just like, gosh, can we get someone different? I mean, if you're going to do it, but under these circumstances, Voldy, I mean, you have to. I mean, you can't just say, oh, well, we're just going to, see how it goes. No, just do us all a favor and just cancel going there. Just have them, a regular scheduled game. Who's the home team? Who's the away team? Keep it in the United States for now, But down the road, too, I mean, do they want to do it? Yeah, it gets over to the fans, but you do that. But have a primetime matchup. I mean, I don't want to see the Browns, take on, let's just say, the Lions or something, And, Nick is agreeing with me, too. I've always hated when a London game happens and I miss starting a guy because the game starts at 8 a.m. Exactly. Yeah.
Got to get up. It's game day.
No fans, no point. Agreed. Approved. It's a global pandemic. Just stay home and skip a year. Or just skip it all in general. I'd be fine with that. But anyway. But you got to do some international games, though, because there are a lot of fans, that are there that go to it. So, you got to factor that in, too. So, what do you think, Voldy?
I think it's a smart move, at least for this year. I miss the times when I think it was Buffalo that used to play in Toronto a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Bring that back. That was fun. They're playing at, like a mid-season game in the Sky Dome, now Rogers Center or whatever it's called in Toronto. They're playing on the indoor turf. That was always interesting to watch. But you look at who they're going to be playing this year. Jacksonville is going to play 2 games in London. They're going to be playing Atlanta and Miami. Not exactly barn burners of games or, prime time ones. And then Arizona was scheduled to play in Mexico City as the home team, but didn't find out who was going to be going up against. But, like you had mentioned, the only reason why some of these games were taking place, Jacksonville plays in London every year, is because their owner, Shad Khan, owns a soccer team over there as well. I think it's Liverpool or one of the big ones over there. And then Arizona, close enough to Mexico City. Of course, San Diego's played, I should say Los Angeles Chargers now, played there a couple times. Oakland as well. A lot of Raider fans in Mexico, especially whenever they had those big games down there, at least the last couple of years. I think when they played New England Patriots, Oakland, it was pretty much a home game for Oakland down there. It was very surprising to see. But, better safe than sorry. Just be worried about, once the NFL goes to that 18-game season or whatever they keep saying is going to happen next year or so.
Yeah, 17, I think, or I can't remember. But yeah, but I will say this though. I mean, I think it's more of going over to London than it is anything else. I mean, you're going across the pond. Coaches don't like it. I mean, but for Mexico, I think you can pull that off. Fairly easier than you can. Oh, we got to go to England here, and then we got to play, and then we got to come back. I mean, you got to factor in the players, the coaches, and everything like that. I mean, the Raiders were traveling a lot Yeah, you mean the last Vegas Raiders?
Well, sorry. This is the first time I'm getting to say Las Vegas Raiders, even when they did play in Oakland.
Yeah. Well, I
Excuse
think
me,
what he's
Nick.
I think what he was getting at is they'll be last in the division, though. So I think
Very
yeah.
true. Let's hope.
So, all right, next one, Foldy.
Well, we talk about teams that are going to be in last place. Let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. Fins down. Miami Dolphins have put together early plans for how to host NFL fans during the 2020 season during the pandemic. During a Monday segment that they had with Good Morning America, President, CEO Tom Garfinkel revealed mock-ups of new entrances into Hard Rock Stadium, formerly, Dolphin Stadium, Miami Stadium, Joe Robbie Field, that would help people adhere to social distancing guidelines. I was actually trying to see how it would actually shape up. Basically, kind of boils down to there'll be a section of like 4 or 5 people here, a couple rows behind you, a couple sections over, and just a whole bunch of just people spread out all over the place. Normally, Hard Rock Stadium can hold 65,000 fans. They're going to whittle that down to about 15,000 fans. So you're taking out 3/4 of potential fans being at Hard Rock Stadium. And there's a lot that goes into it as well with trying to have fans at the game, but also trying to keep the social distance aspect of everything going on. If this is even going to be possible for the NFL to allow fans to come, or they're just going to be playing in empty stadiums. That's the route that should be right away for any fan. You should just go off expecting that you're not going to be able to go to the game. And, if there's a limited number, so be it. But my question is this absurd or approved, the potential plans for not only Miami or any team to make these plans for even remotely thinking that they'll be able to have fans at their games this year?
Oof. This is a tough one, Foldy.
It is.
It's kind of one of those things where you have to wonder where this is going to be by the time they have to start up. And we also got Nick chiming in. Dolphins also had that swimming pool. I'm guessing that's gone too. Yeah, that will probably be gone.
That's out of there.
Yeah, see you later. But it's a tough thing. I mean, they have a plan set for this, but I just don't know if it's going to work. That's the thing. That's why I think it's a little absurd, because it's like, okay, you have this plan in place, and then you're going to bring it down to 15,000, like you were saying, Voldy. And, I think if they're able to do it, you can watch it from, on your TV, like regular. But, again, they're trying to prevent a second wave, too. And I understand that. And I applaud the Dolphins for trying to, figure out a way to get fans into the stadiums and everything. Maybe they have to be spread out. Maybe they have to, watch from, I don't know, the nosebleeds, things like that. I mean, again, I'm no expert on this whole pandemic thing. I'm just trying to think. I just want some dang football, man. So, it's I don't know. I'm kind of teetering, with if I'm saying approved or absurd. But, yeah, I think it's stamp of approval for going the extra mile to say, all right, we have a plan in place. Let's see how it goes. But I think it's, I think it's a little absurd how they're going to do it, So, what do you think, Voldy?
I kind of agree with you in the sentiment, just the fact of the route that they're going right off the bat. I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen once, the NFL season, if it does start on time, what the world's going to be like. And the fact that they're taking this, leap forward to begin with. Sure, it's a great idea in theory, but what's it going to be like if and when it actually works?
Exactly.
Is there going to be people actually at the stadium, working concessions? Is it going to be you show up to the game, you watch the game, you leave, you go home, no tailgating, things of that sort, just along the lines of, how's it going to work with parking and everything besides the game itself?
Right.
Is what is going on here. as it pertains to, getting fans involved.
Yeah.
The NFL is trying to do their best to make sure that fans are going to be a part of the season coming up, if and when it does start on time. I'm sure everybody's hoping that it does, because that's been the one sport that hasn't been affected other than the virtual draft that was this year, which was awesome. Again, just to remind everybody that saw it and didn't take part in the draft itself.
Right.
I like it for the fact that they are trying to take the initiative here and, try to get fans going on as much as possible. But it's pretty early to the game because Florida has had a little bit of a rough streak when it comes to letting people out sooner than a lot of other people have expected when it comes to, shelter in place orders and everything, because Florida is literally making it up as they go, and they're literally marching to the beat of their own drum.
Right. So, we got to look at this, for down the road. And, let's see how this goes. Let's look at Nick's comment here. If you figure a ticket costs $100 a seat, going from 65,000 or 6, wow, that's a lot of zeros, for a weekend to 15,000 is a big change in revenue. Will it even be able to cover the cost of the player salaries? Another thing that you got to consider.
And that's
too.
That's just ticket sales alone.
Yeah.
You don't throw in, media coverage, ad revenue, things of that sort, licensing fees and everything that they have that's got, Dolphins logos and paraphernalia and memorabilia that's got all that covered as well. That's just from just the fact that that's just ticket sales alone. I mean, that could certainly hurt a little bit in the pocketbook, but, if they were just paying players based on ticket sales, it'd be hurting quite a bit.
Yeah. Stamp of approval for Nick's comment. That's a great question, and a great statement. So, all right, last one, Voldy.
All right, well, NHL commissioner and resident bad guy Gary Bettman said the starting of the 2020-21 season as late as December is on the table as the league considers all options for finishing this current season, 2019-2020 season, and beginning the following one. No word yet possible of when the current season is going to finish up, because right now they'd probably be in the midway, maybe conference semifinals, close to the conference finals, just thinking off the top of my head. But it was mentioned the NHL did pause its season March 12th, so we're literally almost 2 months removed from that happening. The league and the Players Association said this week that they're looking at phase 2 of the return to play plan. Following the current period of the self-quarantine by players and team staff, Phase 2 does involve a small group of activities in NHL training facilities, kind of similar to what the NBA was trying to get going, something that the league hopes can happen in mid to late May. So you throw in the fact that you're going to try to finish up the regular season, play a full playoffs, if that's the plan they go. So say that it does happen mid to late May. So we say we happen 2 weeks from now, that they're back to training. So you give yourself a couple weeks at minimum to get back into shape, start playing a couple of games, maybe a couple tune-ups, and then you start playing games. Well, you still got probably 15 or so games, maybe 20 games at the most, finish up the regular season. Then you play quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, Stanley Cup. That's 4 rounds of playoffs, 16 games at minimum for a NHL team. So you're probably looking at they start in mid to late June with the regular season. Let's say September.
Okay.
That the 2019-20 season ends. Then you go into the off season, which is basically 2.5 months. That's going to take a real toll on some teams overall. Absurd or approved to you, DJ Manny. See, I kind of got off on my own little tangent here with my response, but absurd or approved the fact that Gary Bettman planning on starting next season in December before this season is even close to finishing.
Well, I think you got to look at every plan here. I mean, I think I feel like you got to have like a champion here at some point, but like, at the same time, you don't want to be like, well, the season just doesn't count. Throw it away. No. I think they're going to try and get this done. Okay. They're going to try, finish the season, and then, like you were saying, I mean, if they start up in December, like Bettman was saying, that's what they'll have to do. But, like you said, what about the recovery time between, the end of the season of the 2019-2020 season and into the 2020-2021 season? I mean, that's another thing that I think Bettman has to consider is like what about the recovery time here for the players and going into the off season, things like that. So you're gonna squish everything in there, and it might work, it might not. So I give him a stamp of approval for thinking of a way to get this going. I don't know if it's the best way, but again, we got to consider that they're trying to get back. I mean, this is every league. I mean, this goes beyond even the NHL. I mean, every league is trying to get back here and trying to do a safe way to do it. Okay. And, I applaud him for looking for this, but, there's a lot of pros and cons to this. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I applaud him for trying to find something to figure out. So, what do you think, Voldy?
It may be one of those you're trying to lead the horse in front of the cart or the cart in front of the horse, whatever that saying is.
Yeah,
you're putting too many marbles into your pocket there before you even finish out what's currently in front of you. Yes, you got to plan for the future, especially for any sports commissioner or anybody that's trying to piece together because now it's starting to affect next season as well. The NBA, the MLB, even the NHL as well. They're trying to move forward with this season going into next season as well. Well, those timelines are slowly starting to overlap each other, and overall, it's not gonna be the greatest quality of play going into the next potential season, because once the regular season and the playoffs ends for 2019-20, then a lot of guys are saying they're coming out. They're saying, oh, I got to have back surgery. I've got to have ankle surgery, wrist surgery. That's going to put them out 3 or 4 months. So they're already going to miss the first 20, 25 games of the next season to begin with, which could hurt, which could help going into later portion of that next season. But overall, there's no winning. Nobody wins in this situation. Even if you do finish out this season and declare a champion, overall, it's just going to be like, what did we just see? What did we just go through? Because there's just so many things that just cannot go right at this point of the world.
Well, and again, I mean, there's going to be movies about this, documentaries, I mean, about this time,
Totally.
This is crazy. So, but yeah, I think they're doing everything in their power to figure this out. No one knows what to do. I mean, that's kind of the consensus here. But again, we just gotta sit and wait. So, but yeah, so it's got your stamp of approval, Voldy.
Absolutely.
Boom, we got it. So, anyway, Voldy, we've had an interesting afternoon here before the show. Right? But we got to get to before we go, Nick, the quality of games won't be as good either. Definitely player rust will be a thing. 100%.
Definitely.
100%. So, and Shield shout-outs, we got a lot of shout-outs in the past couple hours here. So, let's get it rolling. Let's go.
Shield Shoutouts.
As Voldy trots in on his horse, we have a lot of Shield shoutouts to get to.
So we do. Oh, man.
Take it away.
It's been a very turbulent last few hours, but we got to start off. Couple of shout outs here from earlier this week that we finally got a hold of. It was 2 years ago yesterday that SMSU baseball coach at Southwest Minnesota State University, Skip himself, Paul Blanchard, notched his 500th career victory as a head baseball coach at the college level with an 8-4 victory over Minnesota Crookston in Game 2 of a doubleheader. Luckily enough, I was actually at the first game. I was on my way from South Dakota to Madison up to St. Cloud as I was, and I thought, you know what, I'll stop by, see that the guys are playing that day, and stop by, said hi to Skip, said hi to all the former players all the players that I still knew that were on that team, and wished them good luck. Just so happened, career victory number 500. They did drop the first game of that doubleheader, but, a very great accomplishment in the career of Coach Blanchard. Skip still, talk to him every once in a while. He'll shoot me a text or we'll conversate on the socials medias, and always good to keep in touch with him.
Delano! Used to call you, Shield.
Classic.
Classic.
This past week, we did lose a football legend as we send our well wishes to the Shula family. Legendary football coach Don Shula passed away at the age of 90 years old. Leader of the only team to go 17-0, a perfect season, that being the 1972 Miami Dolphins, won that Super Bowl. One of three coaches that did win 300 career games, including Papa Bear himself, George Halas, and Bill Belichick, the only coaches that have won 300 career games. And we send a shout out to Don Shula on his unfortunate passing, and our well wishes to the Shula family as well.
Absolutely. Legend.
Do have to, yes, absolutely, a legend. One of the pillars of the game of football. You put him up on any Mount Rushmore, there's not going to be a whole lot of fight when it comes to whether he deserves to be up there or not.
Agreed.
We do have to send a happy birthday Shield shout out to creative content director, consultant, I should say, Mrs. Sarah Ann Choosvold's little cousin, Jenna Skaggs, 19 years old today.
Hey.
Wishing her a happy birthday today. She's a member of the SDSU, South Dakota State University dance team. So happy birthday to Jenna. And we do have to send a couple of, this is what we've been alluding to all afternoon and all evening. This afternoon has been crazy. Since 12 o'clock hit onward, it's just been nothing but great positive vibes, and we did get even the likes of a little bit of affirmation and confirmation that we are putting ourselves on the map from none other than the Boston Red Sox themselves. I don't know if we've got that graphic ready. Yes.
We got it right here.
Custom Wallpaper Wednesday on the socials medias, and we got confirmation from the Red Sox. Put up any personal message that you want. There it is. I said, keep it in the zone. Fenway Park reciprocates. We are in the zone. Shout out to the Boston Red Sox for the custom wallpaper. And also as well, I personally myself, from the National Collegiate Hockey Conference, the NCHC, best conference in all of college hockey, I got myself a custom wallpaper as well.
Hey.
There it is. There it is right there. Gotta love hashtag wallpaper Wednesday and just all the wonderful things that you can get with those custom wallpapers. So a big shout out to the Red Sox and also the NCHC for the custom wallpapers as well. That's just awesome. That kind of made my day. I had a little bit of a rocky afternoon, but then I got those, and we're on cloud nine right now. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I mean the Red Sox replying to you. I mean, wow. I know we're a Minnesota show. But still, right. I mean, getting something from the Boston Red Sox, I mean, that's huge. I mean absolutely.
I made it my background. I don't know if you can see it or not. Background. Oh, there it is. There it was. It's there. It's there. It's my lock screen. Technical difficulties.
We'll figure that out.
I'm still finagling with everything. My hands and my arms are disappearing. It's all over the place. It's like a bad magic show over here.
Oh man.
Well, finally with Shield shout-outs for this week, we got to give a big Shield shout-out to friend of the zone, friend of the brand, Nate Burleson, former Minnesota Viking, for
Let's go.
following us on Twitter and not only retweeting DJ Matty C. There it is. There it is.
Beautiful. Hashtag.
Oh.
Swag, baby. Let's go.
Fantastic. How awesome is that?
Yeah, I mean, Shield, Nate Burleson is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. How I was able to meet Nate Burleson, obviously the Super Bowl was in Minnesota. Unfortunately, the Vikings weren't in it after that whole NFC Championship, but we'll move on from there. But, yeah, thank you, with that. But I got the chance to meet Nate Burleson, Kay Adams, Peter Schrager, P. Schrags, Kyle Brandt. Those guys are awesome. And, I also threw out, if they want to come on the show, they are more than welcome to.
Please.
And I got a picture with Nate Burleson, and, I told him, I appreciate everything that you did for Minnesota and everything. He had a nice segment, too, on GMFB, talking about the Vikings during his time here in Minnesota. So, again, he's a friend of the zone, and for following me back on Twitter, meant the world to me. And, he is a great human being. He's got great analysis. He loves the Vikes. He loves the Seahawks because he was with the Seahawks and he was with the Lions. So, he's been around, but he has been a great player, great person. And Nate, please come on the show, man. We need you. Let's go. We need the show. We need a little toe drag swag, baby. Let's go. So, anyway, we'll probably send this to Nate, so maybe he'll see it. We'll see.
We hope so. Certainly hope so. We'll get our people to talk with his people, talk with us.
It hasn't worked. Yeah. It hasn't worked with the Kate Upton thing, but we're still working on that, Voldy, okay?
I'll try to. If I know you've been working on that angle for, now it seems like, 6 years now?
Yeah.
At least?
6? Yeah, something like that. I don't know, but still. Nate Burleson, shout out to him. But is that it, Voldy?
That's all I got for Shield shout-outs this week.
Couple of things, okay?
Yeah.
If you haven't gotten your Zona t-shirt, you need to go get it, okay?
That you do.
You got to check it out, okay? Obviously, the nickname doesn't come with it, unfortunately, but it's just a mock-up here, and it's for the Shield. It looks fantastic. But, guys, it's $20, $5 shipping, so in total, $25, okay? So, and what? Dry fit material. Thank you, Kerf Doctor. Dry fit material. It's going to look fantastic. And, when you post on the post that we have, too, make sure, comment your size, and we'll start to figure it out here. So, Jimbo, we have confirmation from Jimbo. He has put in the order. There it
is. Get them when they're hot. Who knows? Maybe we'll have more down the road. Maybe we'll have different stuff, different variations. We don't know. Making it up as we go.
Gotta love that. So, and then one other thing too, make sure to check out W2 Performance, Will Rattel's podcast. He's got YouTube videos up now, and we're in talks to get him on the show. It might be next week. You never know. Okay, so we might have him on the show, talk a little bit about that, talk about his career at UND, Voldy, and well as St. Thomas Academy, and he was with the Falcons for a little bit too, so we can get some NFL insight as well. So it's going to be fantastic, and we're going to have another great show. It was a great show today, Voldy. Great job.
That it was.
Great job to the Kerf Doctor as well for everything behind the scenes, and we're on cloud 9 right now. Like, seriously, we really are. And we got rid of that Jimmy Butler thing. I said my piece. We're done. But
moving on.
If you want to keep talking about it, I'm more than willing to talk on the socials medias with you about it too. So we'll keep it rolling. But anyway, Zoners, we thank you so much for your support as well. We're nothing without the Zoners. We really aren't. And we appreciate everything that you guys do, too. And Easy says, great job, love it. Appreciate you, Easy. We appreciate it. So, anyway, remember, folks, keep it in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.